just a second ago, I had this hat on because I was like, sorry, you can't see that on the camera there. Boom. It's just an OKC Coffee Club. It's my favorite coffee. But I put it on, I was like, I need to wear a baseball hat. Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So, man.
Yeah. I know. I was like, I gotta put something baseball on, at least Driller's hat.
Yeah, and that's what I was like, TD. I was like, I'm pretty sure. Have you worn that one before?
Yeah, I think I wore it like back probably around August or September whenever I got it.
Okay. Okay, well, good. Were you at the game or did you buy it online?
Yeah, no, I was at the game. It was probably actually way longer than that. It was probably closer to the beginning of the minor league season because we went and watched Bobby Miller and Jack Leiter
Ah,
pitch.
yeah. No, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Well, welcome to the Debbie Podcast Live. Everybody joining us for our February 27th edition, which means, and it can mean only one thing, that baseball season is here. So this is going to be a baseball-centric centered episode. We'll have a couple news and notes because, you know what, we've been saying this last couple of weeks. They just got to listen. I'm telling you, that's going to have to go on a shirt or something because someone is listening. Okay. So I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what happens here. So just stick with us today. Jimothy here, as always, with Tubby. And yeah, we're going to get. By the way, did you get the thing I sent you in the mail?
Yes. I got it a couple days ago.
Good. You ever put something in the mail and you're like, oh, I wonder if that outbox, like at an apartment complex, does that one actually ever get checked? Because I don't think it does. But my wife said it does. So
hey, there you go. At least you know.
Yeah. I sent you some of the old ones too. Did you get those?
Yeah, we got those.
I'm sorry it took so long, man. I didn't think about it.
And you're good. All good.
Yeah.
All Matt right. And Randolph in the chat already. What's up, guys?
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. And we got so I just put this on there too. So this is again, it's a baseball centered episode. I don't know if you can tell who my team is. We'll get to that. And also, if you know a fun fact about Devin's favorite or Tubby's favorite team, you know, this is the AA team that he gets. It's in his hometown.
Yes.
So, I mean, yes. Yeah, Drillers, Dodgers make sense.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic thing that they moved to Oklahoma.
Right?
I mean, it just worked out perfect because, I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've seen that, moved through the system that went into the major leagues, play, in Tulsa. So once the Dodgers came, it made it even better because then I got to see the Dodger prospects playing.
Oh, yeah. Were they the Rockies right before?
Yes, it was the Rockies.
Okay, that's what I was making sure. I wasn't sure there's another team in between. So, yeah, Matthew, and Nicky Stripod? I don't know. I can't say it, but man, yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for the support right there. That was great. Yeah, so I gotta know. So make sure you put it in the chat who your favorite team is. We already got one. Where did it go? Nikki, yeah, you put the Reds, bro. We're gonna have some words at some point here. I am not a Reds fan. I really have grown up despising the Reds because they were so good with Brandon Phillips and all of them for so long. You remember those days, right?
Adam Dunn.
I
mean, Big Donkey. I mean, yeah, you can't forget Adam Dunn. I mean, you had Johnny Cueto whenever he was, and they had some good ball players there.
Yes, I know, and that's what's crazy to me is the Reds. I mean, they have such a long history. I think oldest team in baseball. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so like obviously so much history with sports, and it's sad to see where the team's at in this constant rebuild right now. So I don't know. I'd be really interested to see. Oh, you said they are your team, but you're not a fan. What is that? What does that mean, man? I'm just curious. Okay, I'm going to say Red Sox. I used to really love the Red Sox. That's what Matthew said.
Yeah.
But it's gotten to the point of. Oh, okay. So here's the question: if you say it's boring, is baseball boring, or is it the Red Sox ownership, front office, the way they're playing baseball? That's a great question because we're going to get into that today.
I mean,
baseball.
I've said it a couple of times before. I don't know how Bloom has his job.
Yeah.
I don't.
Bro, he kept Devers. Come on now.
Congratulations. You went 1 for like 5.
Hey, that's a decent batting average in 2022. 200. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'd say 1 for 5 is pretty good if you're drafting as well. You're like, oh yeah, 1 for 5. It's not bad.
Baseball, yeah, definitely.
You said Matthew just goes both. The game is
Well,
so we're gonna dive into the details of why the game has been boring recently. And Tubby, how much baseball did you watch? I asked you this question. I'm gonna ask you again when we actually start the pod. But I'm curious, how much did you actually get to watch live this weekend?
I watched a few. Luckily, I mean, the bad thing is YouTube TV did drop MLB Network, so a lot of like the minor league games are on there. But my grandma has DirecTV, and we signed into her DirecTV streaming part, and I watched some spring training baseball. So I watched a few games. I was watching the Mariners White Sox earlier today. Then I got the news watching the game that Gavin Lux may be out for the season.
I had not heard that. I was at work. I didn't see it. So
yeah,
breaking that news, man.
He was ground ball to third. He was the second. He was running to third. He was trying to avoid the throw, and he like did this like side to side dodge. And whenever he planted with his right, his knee hyperextended, went down, immediately grabbed his right knee. They carted him off the field, towel over his head, visibly upset. And they asked Friedman after, partway through the game, like, have you heard anything? He's like, all I know is that he's hurt.
No real updates yet. I will say, like if it's training camp, it's all that kind of stuff going on with baseball season or NFL and spring training. You get hurt, you roll your ankle, they're gonna get you the cart. So
yeah,
for me, I think
he couldn't put any pressure on it.
So man, that's not good because this was going to be almost like this was going to be his year to really have potential to break out and live up to that height that he's had. Now he's been in the league for quite some time. Even last year had almost 130 games, but I think this would have been the year you would have seen that creep up to 145 plus, and then regular at bat, 500 plus at bats for sure.
Especially with him moving back over to shortstop. There's not much depth there in the middle of the infield for the Dodgers, and he was going to be can he be that guy that he was so highly touted, ranked? At one point he was the highest prospect in baseball, and this was the year. I mean, he was in shape, cut a lot of weight, muscle, everything. Looked like this was the year for him to explode, and may not even get a chance for this year.
Yeah. This might be getting into the details too much and predicting the future, but does this mean you could see Mookie Betts at second base again?
The biggest issue is that they don't really have a shortstop behind. Miguel Rojas is probably going to be the starting shortstop, and as a Dodgers fan or just a fan of baseball, that's not what you want.
No.
I mean, Rojas is a great, plug and play every few games just in case, you need someone, but because they don't really have depth, in the minor leagues at shortstop. The only other thing is there a guy out there they could possibly go out and trade for? I mean, I know they floated the name of Willie Adames at, around, free agency time, and the Brewers are kind of like, we don't think we want to trade him. Another guy I had thought of is Gleyber Torres. I know the Yankees have, Peraza at shortstop. They have Volpe waiting in the wings, who, I mean, really is getting blocked by those two guys and probably should be on the major league roster as right now. And so maybe you move, Volpe to second or something like that. It could work out. But really, in-house, there's not a whole lot for the Dodgers to do.
Yeah. Well, we can get into some predictions on that. We actually have a little bit extra time for record podcasts for this month. Do you want to go ahead and start the show and we'll just jump into things?
Yep. Sounds good to me.
I like it. All right. So you ready?
Yep.
All right. 3. Let me make sure I'm hitting the right button. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing episode that you just got to listen to, the W Sports Podcast. Jimothy here alongside me, as always, is going to be the one and only Tubby. Welcome back to the show.
It's baseball season.
And if you didn't know, we are live on YouTube as we're recording this right now. So if you didn't join us, you missed out. So join us every single Monday, 6:30 Central Time. You can follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and then you can just join the chat. Y'all were blowing up the chat before we even hit go on the recording today. So y'all crushing it. So thank y'all for supporting us that way.
I've been so ready just to talk baseball over the last couple of weeks. I'm just like, man, I've literally, I think I have 6 to 7 pages of notes I've taken.
Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is why we got to split up the league into 2 episodes because
exactly.
This is a long episode. Stick with us the whole time.
Yeah, I've got front to back 6 to 7 pages.
Woo, that's a lot of pages. Well, it's going to be good. We're going to get into it. I luckily did not make any actual notes. I have them on my laptop. I have them going as we do it. But call them in and welcome to the show. If you're having trouble with the video, I would say refresh the page, see if that works. I hope that's not like a mean or like a lame IT answer, but that's all I got for you right now. So I hope that works.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining the chat. So today is going to be mostly baseball season because spring training games started this last weekend or before the combine. Senior Bowl is done for football. So there's a lot going on in the background as we approach free agency season, which we're trying to work up some exciting stuff for you guys as we head into the offseason, the full offseason mode of football. But in the meantime, we're doing one of our biggest passions, which is baseball. And if you are not a baseball fan, you might consider it this year. And here's why. They have made a sweeping amount of changes. That doesn't make any sense. They have made a lot of changes to the game itself, and it is a very different experience if you watch it this year, even on TV, than it would have been last year. So, and we'll get into that a little bit. I would love to know, Tubby, some of your initial thoughts from watching some of the games because I watched a couple. I struggled to be able to find it watchable because, like you said, YouTube TV took it away. So I'm scrambling. Cardinals first game. We're gonna find it. So I'm doing all the deep dives, but I did eventually find it. And it was a very different experience, but it's still baseball. That's what I loved. It's still a great experience. So initial thoughts you had.
The game is faster. It is sped up, and there's something that we, I think we needed in baseball. It's so far the average game and it is going to be faster because it is spring training. We'll probably see a little bit slower game once it comes to regular season, but most of the games have been averaging around 2.5 hours.
Oh, yes.
Compared to the 3 hours?
15.
Yeah, and so I would imagine it'd probably be closer to the 240, 245. But still, that's a lot. That's a 20, 30-minute difference. And it makes the game more enjoyable. The pitch clock, they are on it. You better be sure, both hitters and pitchers better make sure that you are getting, set to throw, or you're getting in the box ready to hit because they ain't playing no games. And I like that they're being so strict with it. Yeah. Because it'll get those guys into the mode, okay, I've got to make sure I'm getting in the box in time. These pitchers, okay, I got to make sure I'm throwing in time. I mean, there's some of these, aspects of these guys. Like I was reading this thing about Shohei Ohtani. He was the second slowest pitcher in baseball last year.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so how much is that going to affect him whenever it comes, pitching and stuff like that? It's going to, I think, like you said, it's going to increase the game, make it more enjoyable. The pickoffs. Last week I was a big proponent of this one. I think we were going to see more small ball, more base stealing, but there's also another aspect that I thought about this week is that we may see more pickoffs, or I should say, caught stealing, whatever you want to say, but from the catchers throwing it to first base. These hitters getting the big leads because maybe the pitcher has stepped off once or twice already.
Imagine how many caught stealings Yachty could have had.
Right,
bigger bases, man. He would have dominated.
And that was an aspect I didn't quite think about it.
That's a good point.
It may be more crucial, or not maybe. It's going to be more crucial now than it has been in the recent, last 10 years to have a strong arm defensive catcher behind the plate, possibly because.
Oh yeah.
We're going to see guys running. I think we're going to see a lot of guys. 2020. Maybe 30 season, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. And this is what they were talking about, like Theo Epstein. One of the reasons why they did it, he's like, we're not so far off, that we've seen guys like Jose Ramirez and, these guys stealing 50, 60 bases a season. We want to try to get closer to that when the cap, has been, 35 to 40 bases over the last, 6 to 7 years. We want to get closer to that 60 mark. And there's guys like Trey Turner and Corbin Carroll, Julio Rodriguez, these guys that can put up these big stolen base numbers, but they weren't incentivized to really do it with the way the game of baseball was being played. And so now we may get to see that and make it more exciting. I mean, to me, base stealing, it brings a great aspect to the game. It makes it more exciting. You see someone try to steal second, and then you do, puts more pressure on the pitcher. It's something that we've been missing in baseball instead of, oh, I'll stand on first and hope the guy behind me hits a home run.
Yeah, dude, do not enjoy that part. If that phase of baseball that it feels like we've had recently. So I loved it. It moves so fast. I found myself, you can't turn away. Like you could turn away. Like, and that's the thing about baseball is you could go there, you find yourself on your phone at some point. Yeah, it's not a problem. I'll go to the bathroom now. It'll still be descending when I get back. You can't do that now. This game is moving much quicker and not to a place where it feels like it's a sloppy game, which would have been my biggest fear is that you hit lots of hit batters, you have frustration, all this stuff. And no, guys are adapting. And I saw a stat this weekend, the first game I was watching, and it said roughly 40-ish, 45% of players have experienced the pitch clock at some point in the minors. I think that's woefully. I don't know where they got that stat. I cannot be accurate. What year did they have the pitch clock go into AA and AAA? Do you remember?
Oh, I'm not 100% sure. I know. I'll say 20. Oh, I mean, because you didn't really play a whole lot 2020. I'll say 2019.
2019 was the guess that you had. They did it in the Arizona Fall League in 2014. And then on January of 2015, MLB said that they're going to have the 20-second pitch clock for AA and triple teams during the 2015 season. And so obviously, like it was, the games were faster. And then, so my point is, like, I find that 45%. I don't know about that. Now, I don't know that they used it continually from then on every single year. I mean, I had to look. They used it for spring training games in 2019. That was a very different year. So anyway, but my point is for this is I don't necessarily think that only 40%. I think most people are used to it. So you're going to have to get used to it. And I love the fact that this kept the game moving. We weren't constantly waiting for a third baseman to get to shallow right field either at the same time or for the left fielder to come all the way over. We weren't waiting on stuff like that. Pitcher was just ready to go. Batter was in the box. And it made the game move, and it was exciting.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think it's going to be a great thing for baseball. It's going to bring a lot of people back to baseball that have been missing it because, it's boring. I can't stand to watch it, especially on TV. I can't stand to watch it. I think that it's going to be a lot more of us seeing more small ball, hit and runs, stealing bases, bunting, squeeze plays, because of the shift rules and stuff like that. It's going to make it more exciting, I think.
Yeah, it definitely will. And I loved, Colin, what you just said in the chat on YouTube. As a Jays fan, you saw the pick plays, what you're referring back to what Tubby said earlier at first base that worked last year. And I think it's just a good point. And the Jays are one of those teams that have so much depth at catcher that they can really focus and do a good job of those. So as we some of the new rules, I haven't seen a whole lot of big improvement on the stolen base numbers, but the lack of shifts, I have seen that. And just it's going to bring back the value and the importance of defense as well. One of the games I was watching, the Cardinals, they had Nolan Gorman, I believe it was Nolan Gorman, had a 2-run single that just barely got out of the glove of the second baseman, and because of that 2-run scored, and Jordan Walker goes on to hits a 3-run home run later in the inning. It's no big deal. Show off the monster power. But I was like, man, that's a double play if he fields that cleanly. But he's probably less pressure to do that if they have to shift on him because it's Nolan Gorman. But you can't do that now. So for me, I was like, man, this is already changing the game. And even when a game like the first game of the Cardinals, it was like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 34 minutes, something like that. And it was, I think, a 3-2 10-inning game because just went into that one extra inning. And then the next one I saw was the next day. It was 10 total runs scored, 8-2, I think, final for the Cardinals, whatever the score was. And it was still 2.5 hours. So it's not like you're like, oh, the slugfest, and it's going to be like it was with the Red Sox and the Yankees back in the day where it's back up to 4.5 hours. It didn't do that.
Yeah.
It still moved along because once you hit on plate, you better be ready for the next batter because it's coming.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, they're trying to, make it easier for, them to score and stuff like that. They're wanting, getting away from the shift. So people are going to be scoring more. So the game's still going to take long. I'm like, but I think at that point, if it does say get close to the 3-hour mark, at least they're scoring runs and it's more exciting instead of 3.5 hours of watching the guy hit into the shift every single time.
Dude, and with the very little defense that you have to play when you're in the shift, because the ball's coming right at you. Oh, it's just field it and then throw. Like it's there's no sprint over. Make sure you grab it. Exciting play. No, it's not. So,
yeah, that's why I think it was great for baseball. And like you said, these rules aren't rules that are just all of a sudden they just went, okay, let's just throw it out there and see what happens. These are rules that they have done, except for maybe the base size, stuff, a few of these like different ones. But they're rules that they have studied and done for the last how many years to make sure that they're perfecting it before they bring it to the majors. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like it's just some brand new thing that they thought of all of a sudden, like, yep, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So can I go off on a small tangent real quick about it?
Go for it.
Frustration. So I'm all for it. I was listening to the sports talk radio today on the way to work because I forgot my earbud, and so I couldn't listen to my book. Whatever. So I'm driving, and this guy comes on. He's talking about Royals baseball, and he's like a beat writer basically, and he's talking about how they don't like the pitch clock. Owners are going to be upset because the game is only 2.5 hours, and we got to the 7th inning quicker, so concessions are closed. So owners are going to be fussing about it here pretty soon. And so they're complaining about that side of it, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Agree to disagree, because I'm not going to be on board with that, because they're going to sell more because more people are going to come out to the game because it was a better experience now. It was more entertaining to watch. Mm-hmm. So that's my opinion. Their opinion is different. That's fine. The next thing they said is what they need to do is eliminate Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night games, and they need to do double headers every Saturday and Sunday. And get this, double headers that are 7 innings each like they were in 2020 in the pandemic shortened season. Are you kidding me? You just told me that you didn't want to have a shorter game because the owners would be riot because of the time, but you're going to 7 innings, that's fine. And then I'm again, sorry, this is my soapbox right now. The next thing they said was it would bring back the importance of a starting pitcher because they could go 6 innings and really save their bullpen. No, they won't. They'll go 4, and then they'll use 3 innings for they won't change anything. 7-inning baseball is my nightmare, and I would riot if that ever happened.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awful, I think, for baseball. I mean, that's just dumb. Because there is, I mean, the thing is, when they do have double headers, they're able to bring up more players from the minor league because, to make sure that, you're not wearing people out. So you do that, you're going to basically play 4 games in 2 days.
Yeah, it would never work.
Absolutely. The players wouldn't play. The players would riot.
Yeah.
And that's just absolutely stupid. And we don't want 7-inning games. Well, you just propose 7-inning games, my guy.
You 100%, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. But the thing that got me was one of the guys I've listened to before. He doesn't really like baseball, so but he's still talking about it because it's baseball season and here, and so that's the thing. So he's usually a good sports personality. That was just it's just on his wheelhouse. That's okay. But for like a guy who spends time with the team at the spring facility, what are you doing? And I get it. The Royals have hardly any fans in the stands right now because it's been a bad product. But anyway, sorry, soapbox. I probably shouldn't have done a soapbox on that. I was just a little bit heated about it.
Yeah, that's just crazy. The people really, they're going to buy less because the games are shorter. But if the game is more exciting, you're going to get more people to go there. I guarantee those ticket sales are going to be up higher if the game is more exciting to watch. And that's what baseball is trying to do. Because that was the biggest gripe for how many years? The games are too long.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to shorten them, and now you're crying about them shortening the games.
Yeah. No,
what do you want them to do?
I do. I know, and I'm great. I'm glad that we're making the change. There's more changes that might sneak up here in the next couple of years, but these ones I think we're going to go a long way as long as the umpires continue to enforce that. Hey, be in the box. Hey, you got to be ready to pitch. That's a strike. I'm sorry. And so I don't know if you saw it. Bottom of the ninth, 3-2 count, 2 outs, bases loaded in a tie game, and strike 3 because you weren't ready in the box. What did you think?
Hey, rule's a rule. I don't care if it's end of the game or not. They can't let it slide. And someone's like, well, I hope if it's postseason, the ump would tell them to throw the ball at least. I'm like, but it's not the rule. I am a very strict enforce the rule type guy. If the rules are there, and you're breaking the rule, then it's gonna you're gonna get penalized for it. So, granted, it's not the best time you want, but come on, they're gonna have to learn. You can't just let things slide and think that they're going to figure out how to do it as the game goes along. Because I guarantee you, playoffs, that's not happening. Because they're going to have basically a full season of this and them getting into the flow of, okay, I have to be in the box, I have to do this. I'm going to have to shorten up my my routine getting into the box or whatever to make sure I'm in, so it's not an automatic strike. And hey, the ump made the right call because that was the call.
Yeah, and if you watch the replay, who was in the box. I don't even remember. It was bottom of the ninth in a spring training game. That doesn't really matter. But
I was a minor league kid.
So the dude was 100% trying to milk the ball for automatic by the pitcher not being ready. And that's why whenever the ump stops and points, he's already headed to first base. He's not headed back to the dugout thinking struck out because he's like, got him. We're gonna get this free win right here. And I'm like, no, get in the box and get the stupid hit. Try to actually do something productive. I did not. So I was so glad that he said, no, you're out. And wasn't the Astros?
No, it was the Braves.
Oh, it's these spring training uniforms are getting against the Boston Red Sox. So
but there is one other thing that I'm glad that they've done, and they've shortened the divisional games. Went from 19 to 13. You cut 6 games out, that you play within your division. And now you're going to get these teams like Pittsburgh or, these smaller teams that are going to get to play like a Yankees, and it's not going to be every 6 years. It's going to be every other year. They're going to be in your city. And so I think you're going to reach the market more because these teams are now going to get to see that team maybe they're a fan of, even though they lived in Kansas City and the Yankees are their favorite team. They're going to get to see the Yankees every other year for sure. Yeah. And so I think it's great. And then it also it incentivizes winning your division. It makes those division games even more, pressing to win because now you go from, okay, I had 19 games to make sure I could, win this divisional series. Well, now you only got 13 and it makes it that much more important that you win those divisional games.
Yeah. Puts a little more pressure. And I am in total agreement. Like, the fact that as a Cardinals fan, I could drive over and see the Cardinals, play Aaron Judge, once every other year would be fantastic. I'd love that idea. Mm-hmm. So especially, I mean, the game's only 2.5 hours. So maybe if it's a doubleheader day, I'm buying both tickets. It's only 5 hours, man. I can do that.
Right? Hey, it's basically one game a couple years ago. So why not?
It was just an ALCS Boston Yankees game back in the day. It's just one game.
Yeah. And like Colin said, he said if it's 2.5 hours, compared to 3 to 4 hours, people are going to probably be more inclined to buy a ticket to go to the games.
Especially when you're trying to get younger fans, parents who love baseball. They're like, I really want my kid to love it. They grew up, man, I remember when they used to steal bases. I remember when they did the hit and the run. Baseball was exciting because of these things. And right now, kids aren't getting to see that. And now, hopefully, they will with, no more shift and all this stuff. I think it's interesting because what if one of us was not for the shift? Like one of us or the ban of the shift? Or like, it's weird because we're both on board with all these right now because we love the game and it still keeps it true to the game. Yeah. And just because otherwise, I think all the analytics and stuff like that has taken out some of the beautifulness of baseball and it's made it so black and white. And that's just stuff.
Yeah. And that's what I said last year when the season started. And I think analytics has killed the game of baseball to a certain because of all these. Oh, well, this analytically works better, or hitting a home run's better than taking a walk. Or the shift ball, I think it has killed the game of baseball. And I think them making some of these changes is hopefully going to bring back the game of baseball that we grew up with and we knew and that we fell in love with, compared to, okay, yeah, the guy may hit a home run every few at bats, but he's batting 196.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see a guy striking out, 250 times because all he's trying to do is hit a home run, not trying to get, make the simple hit to get on base whenever all you have to do is hit it down the third baseline because they have shift over, to the right side of the field because you're a left-handed hitter and you're going to pull it. Back in the day, we wouldn't have seen that because they used every part of the field. And with them, the analytics coming in saying, okay, all you got to do is hit a home run. All these left-handed hitters were doing was trying to pull the ball. They didn't care about, hitting it wherever it was, where the opening was on the defense. They were just, okay, if I get the ball over the fence, let's go.
Right. Yeah. And so it might even help guys like Kyle Schwarber out, Yeah,
I think Bellinger is a prime candidate to really. I don't think he's going to get close to what he did his MVP season, but go from a 216. I think he'd get somewhere close to a 250, 20-some home runs, because he even came out and said, he's like, man, my first couple of years in the major leagues, they weren't shifting on me. And so when they started shifting on me, I've never had that in my career ever. As a kid, growing up, through the minor things, I never had that. And so when they did, I was hitting it into the shift every single time.
Yeah. And look at where baseball it has been recently when it comes to analytics and the three true outcomes: walk, hit, strikeout, or home run, strikeout. That was the only goal for everybody. You look at that, and you look at, thankfully these changes have been made. What changes will basketball have to do to avoid a 176 to 174 or whatever final that was? Worse than the All-Star game. Pathetic. And I loved it because Jalen Rose, this is again another sidebar tangent that we're taking here. Did you see what he said the problem with guys sitting is?
No.
Load management. He said the number one people to blame is analytics, because y'all are saying that, hey, it doesn't matter. It's more important for this, right? So you just got to sit out or whatever. The next thing he blamed was the media. And I was like, okay. I want to hear him out. Why does he think that? So then he said it was the media because we started counting rings. And when you started counting rings, we were telling everybody else, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what else you do. Rings are the only thing that matters. So for LeBron's like, well, if you're telling me that, October 31st doesn't matter, and neither does, February 12th, why do I even care until I get to October? So that was part of it. And the other one was, it was on the players themselves, because there are some players who are still playing every single game, which means even if they're a little banged up, they have a bruise. And they're still playing it. Like, the trainers are going to let them play through it. And then there are other players that are like, nope, I'm taking the day off. So analytics has helped baseball in some ways predict and, understand this is just a lot of bad luck for this hitter this year. But it also put the power too much to one side. And for baseball, it was defense. And in basketball, way too much power to offense. There's no more defense anymore. It's so bad. And I get it. These guys are the best they've ever been at basketball. So you better turn the defense up a little bit. So anyway.
Yeah. I would be interested to see. And I've thought about this, is if, say, there was a guy like Shaquille O'Neal played in today's game, would it, maybe revert somewhat back to the old NBA? Because you're going to have to find someone to guard him. And then once that starts working, everyone else is going to start going, okay, hey, big man that is so dominant in the post, you can't stop him. Maybe because Shaq was a really good defender. He was a lot better pick and roll defender than I think people think, just because of his size. And so if you could find, you're never going to find a Shaq, but if you can find a guy that is so dominant in the post and can play defense, you are going to have a huge advantage over anybody in the NBA. Even guys like Joel Embiid, who is a big guy, but he's not tough at all.
He's not a back to the basket, that kind of guy. He's just.
And that, to me, I was a big man growing up. I played center, my whole life. And so the old school big man is always going to be one of my favorite things to see.
Yeah.
And the fact that part is out of the NBA because, they can't shoot the three, they're done. Sorry. I want to see that back in the NBA. And I think that would help a lot, because it's an aspect that, you completely, literally completely taken out of the game of basketball. You got these guys that had, like Luka Garza, these people that had dominated in college basketball because they were that back to the basket type player, but because they couldn't really shoot, sorry, you can't make an NBA anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're going to be playing the G League the rest of your life. I think it's
what I worry
crazy.
about with Purdue's Edey.
Yeah. Zach
Yeah.
Edey.
Zach Edey.
Yeah.
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 That's what I worry about for him is the dude is a classic
Mhm.
back to the basket. I mean, he's great with footwork, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's his primary game. And that's what I was worried about with 8 and 2, honestly, when he came out.
Mhm.
But even he hasn't changed the game. So, yeah, it's a
No.
great point. The real Zonku, right, when you said, hey, these tickets are not cheap, let alone the concessions, which someone else mentioned, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. And there are so many families who only get to go to the game once
Mhm.
to play for them. And so that was one thing Jalen also mentioned was if the NBA should say if you're going to do load management, which they would get around somehow, but if they did,
Yeah.
only be a home game, cannot be a road game. I mean, imagine you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan and you're just like, I really want to see, Trae Young play.
Mhm.
Trae Young's like, I'm a rest.
Yeah, and that's awful too because it's not like they give you a couple day advance going, oh, he's going to sit this day. It's like hours before the game. Sorry, this is his rest day.
Everything, and I'm just sad that. Yeah. So my whole point about bringing up the NBA, again, this is not necessarily an NBA episode, but my point is when analytics outsmart the game to where it's leaned so hard to one side, you have to have a correction somewhere. And thankfully right now, football is such a dynamic team sport that I don't think we've seen it yet. We see more expected air yards and these advanced stats that we're just on the cusp of. And at some point, it may lean too much towards the offensive side, but I don't know. We'll have to. Time will show on this one. But so far, it went different directions for baseball and for basketball. And right now, we're seeing what the teams are doing. And baseball is the first one to kind of counteract that after literally, I want to say like almost 15 years of steps in one direction.
And honestly, I don't have an answer on how you fix basketball anymore. I really don't.
I got it.
What's that?
You want to let them play defense with their hands again. Sorry, you guys can't see on the
absolutely.
My hand was raised. Let them use their hands again, right? Let them. Everyone's like, no, use your feet. Yeah, absolutely.
Hand check.
Hand check again. Do all of that. The other thing for like the defensive side, like if you allow the defense to have some more power back, it will counteract some of the balance. That's the number one thing you have to do. And then it would allow other guys. I don't know how Marcus Smart's still in the league. It's because he plays defense. That's what my friend told me this morning. Defense plays and defense stays. And so it'll help more guys like him find their way to the league rather than just, I shoot threes all the time. You got to have more big guys, I guess, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my number one thing is just let the defense play.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very good point because they don't play defense.
Yeah, mile high fish. You can't even breathe on them anymore. You can't, especially if your name's LeBron. You better not do it.
Yep.
Oh man. All right. So real quick, back to some basketball here. Baseball here. Sorry. Now basketball's in the brain. So couple news before we get into the prediction side of things because we are coming to that side of it here soon. So number one, Manny Machado signs a massive deal. Where have we heard this? The Padres are signing huge deals to guys. 11-year, $350 million deal. Who is this a better deal for?
Manny Machado.
Yeah, agreed.
Because the first offer was terrible. It was like, what was it? It was way, way, way less than what this one was. And he was like, okay, cool. I'll go to free agency.
Yeah.
I will opt out and I'll go. And they were like, oh, okay. It's not great for the Padres because yes, Manny Machado is a fantastic player, and that aspect that they get to keep him is great for them.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a reality check in the next year or so. How are you willing to pay the Dodgers type luxury tax over the next couple of years? And not too many people have that type of money or are willing to pay that because you just re-signed Yu Darvish to a pretty decent extension. You signed Xander Bogaerts to a massive contract, which is probably overpaid. Manny Machado just signed him to a massive contract. You have Tatis already on a massive contract.
Yes.
You've got Juan Soto and Josh Hader, two of your best players on your team, hitting free agency in the next year or two, and you're going to have to pay them. And so someone's going to be the odd man out. Are you going to let Juan Soto walk after you just traded basically your whole minor league system for him? Or are you going to try to find a way to get rid of Tatis? And I mean, he is arguably the most exciting player in baseball. He does have, his reputation is tainted now because of the PED thing, but he's still an exciting player to watch. As much as I don't like him, I can't stand him. You can't take that away from him that he is exciting and fun to watch. And
yeah, I agree. Joseph would have agreed too.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Hader. You going to get rid of your closer, the guy you just traded multiple prospects for too? Also, I mean, you've got a lot of questions. Joe Musgrove's going to need a new contract soon too. He's arguably your best starting pitcher. You've got a lot to figure out.
Yeah, and I'm gonna play a little bit of worrisome here with Fernando Tatis. Like, is he as good as we thought? One, obviously steroids. Now he is super exciting, and I enjoy watching the guy, and I hope that he still is great because it's good for baseball to have a guy like him with his personality. Now the guy makes some really dumb decisions. He's young, right? Playing soccer on the field with a cast and falling on the arm. Remember that last year? Like, come on now, we got to get healthy. Obviously, steroids wasn't great either, but 2019, his rookie year, 84 games, 22 home runs, a slugging percentage of nearly 600. 2019 was the year of the juiced ball. Let's be honest. Everyone was smoking the home runs last year. Those Cody Bellinger's last great season, if I remember correctly. So many guys were really great that year, hitting massive home runs. The next year, it's 2020 pandemic's year, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. Still played almost every game, 17 home runs. A slugging percentage pretty close to that 571. Then 21 only played 130 games with some injuries. 42 home runs though, and the slugging percentage over 100. But was it all clean? We don't know. So the only year that we can look at is 2020, and I don't know how much I can say about that. But even then, I mean, his numbers were pretty great that year. Yeah, I hope he's good, but if you ask me which one am I going to put money on, do I want to keep? It's probably Fernando Tatis over Juan Soto. Like, if I have to pick and choose, it's probably him. And that does not feel great to say.
No. And that was just a short list. I mean, you got Jake Cronenworth, who's going to need a contract soon. I mean, you have a big decision to make in the next couple of years, and it's, are you willing to take your window and open it up longer, paying the taxes and stuff like that, or is it a this year or maybe next year, and then everything's gonna have to go?
Yeah, and I also worry. I mean, the length of Manny Machado's deal has me worried. The dude is only 30, and he's been in the league since 2012 was his first, time in the big leagues, and he's already seen a huge peak in Baltimore from 2015 to 2018. He was so good. Even in 2018 when he was with the Dodgers and with Baltimore splitting time in both leagues, he still had 30-plus home runs, over 100 RBIs. And really since then, his first year in San Diego. Again, it's 2019 and then the pandemic year and then the year after that. And then he plays a lot of games. My fear is that we've already seen the peak. Will he continue on MVP levels? And if he does, will it be 5 years or less or 5 years or more? Because if it's less than 5 years, you're paying peak performance numbers for 11 years. That's a long time. Yeah. And so you got to hope to, and he's only 30. So, I mean, the reality is Paul Goldschmidt just won an MVP last year and he was in his mid-30s, so it can happen.
But like you said, I mean, he is 30, but that's what you said, 2012. That's 11 seasons of baseball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of toll on your body. And he is a player that plays a lot. It's not like he played 112 games or he played, 90-some games. He plays, a lot of baseball. And so
he's the opposite of Brian Bruxton. He plays. Yeah. He is. And 2014 was the last time he didn't play over 150 in a regular season. Even in the pandemic season, he had 60 out of 60.
And one big aspect of his game is his glove. I mean, arguably the top 3 defensive third baseman in baseball. And how much longer is that going to last through that 11-year extension? I mean, is he going to have to eventually? I mean, more than likely he's going to have to revert to a DH, and probably won't be a bad move for him. Probably prolong his career and maybe not make the contract look as bad for the Padres going forward. But you are taking away a big weapon of Manny Machado.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, time is going to tell about that one. Same thing that it's going to do with what's his? You just almost I felt like the whole thing came tumbling down on you, Tubby.
We went down again.
Man, time will tell. There was the other deal, Carlos Correa. We'll see how that one ends up, playing out as time goes on. But there's lots of those long deals. I don't know how many of them work out. Joey Votto still is on his long deal. It's a long contract with the Reds this year. I think is the last one. Albert Pujols, it did not end well on that contract. Now with the Cardinals and the Dodgers, it looked pretty great, but the other ones it just didn't. So it's hard to see that some of these long-term deals work. But Padres, their window is now. That is obvious. So they have to keep it open as long as possible. So I did like what Real Zonko just mentioned with the Patrick Sandoval. We better hope for the Angels' sake that he has another dominant year. He had a 2.91 ERA is what you put in the chat, and it was a very sneaky pick. Now 6-9 win-loss record. That's a lot on the Angels, but anyway. So let's the last bit of news we just mentioned it on the right before we hit go on the podcast was Gavin Lux. Still to be determined how long he's out, but as a Dodgers fan, a little bit of anxiousness here. This was a year they really didn't load up. I mean, guys, okay, they're going to have Shohei Ohtani probably by either June or next December. So just chill if you're a Dodgers fan. But
yeah, it's definitely not what we wanted to see as Dodger fans. That the guy that is essentially your best player up the middle is now probably not playing.
Yeah,
I mean, I shouldn't jump ahead, but it didn't look good. The run, the extension, it wasn't like, a lot of them where you see them hyperextend it backwards. It was to the side. And he tried to get up and walk, couldn't put any pressure on it. And the agony and anguish didn't look great. So hopefully for the Dodgers, it's not an ACL or something. Maybe it's just a really bad sprain and he's out for a month or so and we'll have him eventually. If not, I don't know what direction they go up the middle. I mean, you've got Vargas playing second, who's never played second in his career. Trying to learn a new position. Now you're going to possibly have to go with Miguel Rojas at shortstop. Don't like it early on in the season for the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's those spring training injuries. They always happen. You just hope it doesn't happen to your team. So, I think that was the main notes. I mean, do you want to go ahead? Let's talk about. Do you want to start with AL or NL?
I say let's go AL. We'll save the best for last.
We saved the best for last. The original.
Exactly.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No offense to any Red Sox or Blue Jays fans that are in the chat.
Oh no, all offense. No.
Yeah. First he dropped you guys, and now he says full offense. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the AL West. I think we usually start with the East last year, so this year I'm like, we're gonna go with the AL West. And I will say, I do think the AL is a bit of the easier of the two to predict right now from what we've seen, and maybe that's just from the last couple of years of what baseball's been like. So let me pull this up real quick. I had a quick trivia thing. So that's not it. That's too bad. So as we go into it, what do you think when you're thinking of this? It's a brand new season, so someone's going to make the playoffs. I'm excited for my team. There's a chance, right? They haven't made the playoffs in a while, but what are the chances they do? So historically, number of playoff bids in comparison to how many seasons they played, what team has made the playoffs the highest percentage of their seasons?
Is this all baseball?
All of baseball.
Oh gosh. Oh man. That's a very. I mean, that goes back hundreds of years.
It does. So this one goes back to the World Series era since 1903.
1903.
Yeah. So this includes last year. So this is up to 119 seasons.
I mean,
yeah.
The easy answer seems to be. I mean, you got the old teams, but man, that's. I feel like you're trying to trick me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say the Cardinals.
So you got the Cardinals. Colin said the Rays in the chat. I thought that was a great. The Rays is a sneaky good pick because they've been 8 times out of 25 years. And you're like, well, that's pretty good. That is good enough for 5th all time, which is, I mean, for a team like the Rays in that market, you got to be kidding me that they've somehow made it. Colin, you also put earlier, you're not an Angels fan, but you definitely want them to win the division. I think we all want them to win. So we do not want to see the Astros win again. But the Cardinals were number 7. So the Cardinals were the second highest team since 1903. So a team that's played 119 seasons, they are second. And they're number 7. So majority of the teams that haven't played as much. The Cardinals have made it the postseason 26.89% of the time. In comparison to the Rays, were 32%. The number 1 team has made it 48.74% of the time.
Jeez.
You want to know?
The Marlins.
Bro, come on now. The Marlins?
I was just going shortest. I was just going shortest because they started in like 96?
Yeah, but hold up. Here. You tell me the years that the Marlins made the playoffs.
Oh, I can't.
I can tell you 2 for sure. 97 and 03.
Yeah, he won World Series.
Both years, the next year, what'd they do? They sold everything. They said, we're done. Moving on.
Yeah.
And the other one was the COVID year. Those are the only 3 years that they've made the playoffs.
I honestly have no clue.
So Yankees were number 1. Colin put D-backs as another guess. D-backs
I was going to go
top 10 also.
I was going to go Yankees, but I felt like that was just too obvious.
58 times. 58 times. You go back to when only 2 teams made it, like only the AL champion, the NL champion, or then it was just the division champion, the division era. I mean, that's every other year. It's insane. Second place was the Braves. I think that makes sense when you think about it. They've 56 years. They met 24 times. Dodgers. Your Dodgers. You didn't even guess them. 27 out of 64. They had a there for a little bit.
Yeah, the 90s weren't great to the Dodgers.
But every other decade was.
Yeah, the 90s was not a great era for the Dodgers.
You're never going to guess. Number 4, we already said number 5 was the Rays. Number 4, the Athletics, the Oakland A's.
No, that doesn't surprise me a lot.
It doesn't, but it does for someone who doesn't know the history of the A's. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it just doesn't, because they haven't been good for so long.
I mean, in the 2000s, they didn't have. I mean, they had all the high, guys, and then they'll lose them all, and somehow still make the playoffs. And they always find a way. Years that you go, okay, they have absolutely no shot at making, Moneyball work. At least get you to the playoffs.
Yeah. So now we're gonna do the fun one. You already know number 29. What is the last place? And I can't imagine why anybody would want to be a fan at this point. You see, after I saw this stat, I'd be like, "There's no way."
I know. I'm gonna say. I know the Royals had a decent run.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, George Brett and them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're middle of the pack.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pirates had a good run early on, like earlier in their history. They haven't recently. 17 out of 119. So my other hint is this is an original team.
Oh, wow.
Original team in 119 years. They made the playoffs 11 times. 11. Oh, could you imagine being that fan?
Oh, man. That would be rough.
Yeah.
The Reds?
No, I think it's a good guess. They are 16 times total. So they're tied for 23rd. It's the Chicago White Sox.
White Sox. Oh, my gosh.
Why would you be a fan of the Southsiders? I just don't understand. And then the Tony La Russa thing for way too long makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
It's just so bad. So, other teams that were really low that might surprise you, the Phillies. 15 out of 119. So they're almost as bad as the White Sox not making the playoffs. Oh, man. Yeah, a lot of these teams are very close in percentage-wise. The biggest gaps were obviously the Yankees were 6% above anybody else nearly. So that was crazy. The top 3 are the top 3. It's not even close. Yeah. So, I've been holding on that for a while.
Well, I'll have some good ones for next week.
I did too. So are you ready for another one? Or should I wait?
Let's go for it. Okay. I mean, I've got a few for next week, so we're good.
Okay, so I'll hold that one here. We'll do this one. So where's that one? That one's the one I just did. So this is the best streaks, and you can pick the team. What team do you think has the most consecutive winning seasons right now?
Like
in baseball? Yeah, consecutive winning seasons So this is with a winning record. This is not 81 and 81.
Yeah, not 50. I mean,
and if you guys have guesses, put them in the chat if you can guess it.
I think the Yankees have to be up there.
Yes,
but there was a stretch where they weren't great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm gonna go with. Ooh, that's another one. I'm gonna go with the Yankees.
Okay. Do you have an idea how long it was?
I want to say, is it 22 seasons?
30.
30. Oh wow, it's even
30 seasons. Yeah. They in 1991 they had 91 losses, and I think the year after that, I can't see it. Scroll down. There we go. The year after that is when they started to right the ship. Nope, 92 they had 86 losses. So 88 wins and 74 losses in 1993 was the last time they had a losing record in the year before. So, yeah, Colin, you said Dodgers and you said Cardinals. Cardinals have had 15 straight winning seasons, which is second right now, active streak. And then I remember the last time they lost, was losing record was 2007, right after they won the World Series. And then the Dodgers are at 12. They're third place.
And say I knew it wasn't the Dodgers because I knew in the there was a few seasons there, like the mid 20s or 2000s, that they just weren't that great.
Yeah. Can you tell me the team that has the longest losing seasons record?
Ooh.
It's gonna be a surprise.
I think. Let's see. I feel like I should know this.
I can also give you the number of years if that's a good hint.
I don't know if that'll really help me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you now. It's 7 years.
7
and you're
years.
not going to get it.
The Angels.
Dang it. You got it. Oh, my gosh. You got to be kidding me. It was the Angels. Yes. I thought you were going to say the Royals, the Tigers, or the Rangers, one of those three.
I knew it wasn't the Royals. Won the World Series in 15.
Yeah.
And then I knew it wasn't the Tigers because they had made it to a World Series, I know, in the teens with Miggy and Verlander and Scherzer and all that. So I knew it wasn't any of those really bad teams. I had Oakland, but I knew they had made the playoffs a few times, somewhere's in there. And that was the only other team that I could go, okay,
Oakland
I know.
Is coming off of one consecutive, just one season in a row right now of losing season. So Angels at 7, and this is like basically almost the entire time that Mike Trout's been in the league. So yes, I think it was Colin earlier in the chat said, oh yeah, Colin said, man, we really want the Angels just to be competitive. I mean, we got to have it. Like this guy, Mike Trout. I mean, this sucks. Shohei Ohtani, we need to see him in the postseason.
And I don't want to be that person, but it ain't this year.
All right, so we're going to start with the AL West. So you look at this division last year. This has been absolutely dominated by the Astros the last couple of years. And so it just that right there should alone ask the question, is it the Dodgers to lose?
I mean, the Astros?
That's what I meant. Yeah, the Astros. Sorry.
Yeah. You look at the team top to bottom, and it's hard to really find a fault in this team. Their bullpen is sneaky good. Their pitching rotation is sneaky good. They don't have the huge, they don't have the huge names. Offensive wise, you've got Bregman, you got Yordan Alvarez, who may be one of the most feared batters in baseball. You got Jeremy Pena coming off an incredible rookie year, postseason. You still got Altuve. I mean, the offense.
Yeah.
You got Kyle Tucker, who's another guy that could potentially have a 30-30 season.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really find a whole lot of faults with this team. The biggest thing for me is, the pitching, the rotation have had that go, okay, I don't have to be the big dog. I don't have to be the ace of the staff. I don't have to be the one that goes out there and, gets the ball the first, game and stuff like that. We've had Verlander over the last few years. So maybe a little bit of I'm not used to the situation. But I mean, Christian Javier and Framber Valdez, they've been there. They've done it.
Yeah.
They've been in the postseason. They've won World Series. I don't see them falling off. And as much as I hope they would, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, and you look at Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Luis Garcia, and Jose Urquidy. Those 4 guys, they all had at least 28 starts last year, and all of them had 155 or more innings. Now, to me, I want that number to be closer to 185 if it was all helpful, all healthy, not helpful, healthy seasons. So you look at the top 4, probably going to be close to like as good or better than most people's top 4. So that already puts them in an advantage in the regular season to win most every series. You look at the bullpen, and Ryan Presley is still there, who can save games. Montero, you mentioned some of these guys already. Bullpens are always up in the air, so I don't always like to really focus a whole lot of attention on them. I will say, if you look at this, what you do notice more than anything else with the bullpen there is they have a lot of experience. So that can mean a lot of good things.
There is a few of those guys, though, that it makes you go, okay, you had your best season of your career. You're 30-some years old. Was it a fluke? Was it, just so happened to have a great season? You got paid. A couple of these guys got contract extensions. Are we going to see the guy that went from a 3-something ERA to back up to closer to 4.5, 5?
Yeah, what we've seen Hector Neris do is pretty much his whole career.
Yeah, exactly.
The new Hector Neris,
Yeah, I mean, Montero never had a good season until last year. He was with the Mariners for how many years and really wasn't a big piece of that bullpen. And now he comes to the Astros, and it could be that the pitching, staff and the pitching coach is that good and is able to find something that he was doing wrong and fix it. And that could be an aspect. But if you watch baseball, you know that bullpens from year to year are a question mark no matter who you are.
Oh, yeah. Definitely agree. And I think the other thing, if you look at it, like who might potentially make their way onto this roster that's in the minors, they already have a couple of them that have split some time a little bit here and there. Corey Lee, Yanir Diaz, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hunter Brown, those are some of those guys. No one, I don't think that's really going to be incredible. One top 100 guy, but that's it. So, like you said, the offense is so good. I think Jeremy Pena is a sneaky good bottom of the order guy. He's going to be, I think if he does well, he'll be kind of a scrappy. Like he's not an easy out.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Chase McCormick, and we all know Martin Maldonado's not there for his bat. So you look at the bottom of the lineup, that's the one not so great spot. And if Jeremy Pena can continue on the success he had, especially in the postseason, he should be fine. But he's got a year under his belt. Everybody else, like you said, this team should be able to run away with it. But who's the biggest challenger then for you in this division? The Angels, if they get all thing healthy, is it them? The Rangers just added a bunch of money to this roster. And then obviously Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the Angels. It's not the A's for sure.
Yeah, notice I didn't mention the A's.
Yeah.
I can't mention a AAA roster, man. What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, it's definitely the Mariners. Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh. I mean, you got
Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, you got Big Dumper. Big Dumper. I mean, what a name! What a nickname!
An incredible name.
Yeah, you go out and you were desperate need for left-handed bats. You go out and you grab Teoscar Hernandez, and you shore up the left side, a lot. And
the defense, pitching, Colton Wong on defense is just
Colton Wong was
right now.
Yeah, Colton Wong was another great sneaky acquisition. But the pitching staff, that rotation, I think has the ability to possibly be one of the best in baseball. I think a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on is George Kirby. He had an incredible postseason. The dude's 6'4", and he peppers the strike zone.
Yeah. Former first-round pick, too, recently.
Yeah. The velocity he has on his fastball, and he has other secondary pitches that are very good secondary pitches. And it's just the command. He puts the ball in the strike zone. He makes you, as a batter, make a decision. I got to swing the bat. I got to, put it in play. And so he's a guy, I think, in the next couple of years that really could be a breakout guy that, a lot of people aren't looking at. You're looking at Gilbert, you see Castillo, you got Robbie Ray, former, Cy Young Award winner. But Kirby's that guy in that rotation that I think we're going to see big things from this year and moving forward, where he could really turn into an ace for that staff.
Yeah. Well, and then you look like depth is such a key part of any good pitching staff. And you look at their number 5, and he's not going to blow you away, but he's also not going to be starting a game in the postseason. He shouldn't anyways. Marco Gonzalez. This is a classic innings eater. He's solid at what he does. He's been in the league over 5 years. His ERA is a little higher. Who cares? He's your 5th starter, and the dude knows how to go out there and win. I did, Jake, you said Kirby's the real deal. Sergio Romo said so. I like that. Got the inside scoop right there. This team, and you look at it. AJ Pollock, the new DH for this team. You extrapolate what if he's healthy. Okay, he's not going to be healthy all year. Let's go ahead and just say that. But
hey, at least for a few months, and then he'll be out for a few months, then a few more months.
This is the most fragile 35-year-old in baseball right now.
Yeah, but I really did like what they did in the offseason. I really liked what they did. They saw a hole, and the Teoscar Hernandez trade to me was incredible. You traded a guy in Eric.
Go up now.
Yeah, you traded a guy in Eric Swanson who's 30 years old and had a year I don't think anyone expected with like a 1.98 ERA, and has before that his career ERA was like 5 something. And you traded him for a guy that has shown he is a incredible defensive player. The arm he has out in the outfield is amazing, and he has proven he can hit for power. And it's from the left side of the side that you've been looking for the last couple of years, and you swapped a bullpen arm for maybe close to an all-star outfielder who's had that experience over the last couple of years of being a really good outfielder for a guy that's had 1 year of success.
And the one thing that they're going to have to, their biggest weak spot right now is average. They got to hit the ball better. They have sold out a lot for their power and stuff like that, and I think you can see that. But if you look at what they have to do this next year, is just make contact with the ball, and you're going to have guys like Eugenio Suarez, who he's probably going to hit 225 on a good year. But Colton Wong, if he can stay around 260, 270, Julio Rodriguez, Ty France, there's some guys here who could really eke it out. So if you look at that, we can't spend a whole lot of time on each team yet. But if you look at Texas and the Angels, which team is more likely to challenge maybe for one of those wild card spots?
It's the Texans. It's the Rangers.
Oh man, this is a bummer.
I don't think that there's enough on that team for the Angels. I really don't. You've got Shohei, you've got Trout, and I like Reed Detmers. I think Detmers could be a solid number 2 behind Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Joe Adele, whatever happened to the kid? 23 years old still.
I don't know.
Still has the possibility. I think he needs a change of scenery. But to me, I think that you've gotten to the point as the Angels where you've just been stuck in this mediocrity for how many years?
At least 7.
Yeah, at least 7.
This is actually below mediocrity. This is the bad side. We're not even getting better.
I think it's time that you have to blow it up.
Yeah, no, you're right. Perry, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for dropping in. The Royals are your favorite team. That's great. That's like, and they're going to lose 86 plus, probably. But last year, they were my sneaky team to make a wild card, and I was so wrong.
Hey.
We'll get to them. But I think you're right. Anthony Rendon, man, dude got paid. I just don't see it. Hunter Renfroe on this team. I don't know if the change of scenery really helps. Brendan Drury, Jared Walsh. I am really uninspired by this team outside of Ohtani and Trout. And how healthy will Trout be this year? I think you mentioned that. 42 home runs last year, only hit 265. Is he selling out all for power? What is he doing? And then you look at the rotation. They actually have listed on Fangraphs as a 6-man rotation. And I'm not a fan and it's also very left-handed except Shohei Ohtani. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan because I don't believe that any team has 6 top pitchers in the league. I just don't think there's that much talent to be a worthy start in the league. And I get you got to have 6 because of Shohei. He proved last year 171 innings. I don't necessarily think you got to have, maybe you skip a start or 2 with him, but I don't know that he needs to have, a 6-man rotation. But Tucker Davidson, Reed Detmers, Jose Suarez, Patrick Sandoval, who was good last year, Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson's going to somehow put up 31 starts last year. I don't know how that happens.
He was with the Dodgers. That's how.
So now he's not going to do it anymore. That's what it is.
No, Mark Pryor.
Mark Pryor.
Telling you.
Figure.
Yep, Mark Pryor.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's not the Angels, that's unfortunately. Do they get above 500?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So that right there continues their consecutive losing seasons to 8. This is what's projected here first on the W Sports Podcast.
Yeah.
Now you look. Go ahead.
I think they trade Ohtani, and so you trade Ohtani, you're done. Yeah. Might as well trade Trout along with it.
Yeah, you might as well. I don't know that they will. That's unfortunate. He's like the Joey Votto over there.
Yeah.
In the Rangers, they got Marcus Semien, Corey Seager. Hopefully, have a good bounce back here. Nathaniel Lowe, I still like him. Adolis Garcia is okay. Mm-hmm. It's a very hit or miss lineup in my opinion. And their pitching, DeGrom, we already talked a little about him. I'm not trusting him to get. They're projecting 29 starts. I think that's give me the under, way under. Martin Perez. He's okay as a number 2. I'd rather have him as number 3 or 4. But Eovaldi, John Gray, Andrew Heaney, this whole team, if they combine for 100 starts this year, I will be shocked.
Yeah, you've got a very hit and miss rotation there. Heaney, he's proven he can't stay healthy. DeGrom's proven he can't stay healthy. Are we going to see the Martin Perez that pitched most of the season where he was really solid? The second half of the season wasn't great for him. The first half was who we looking at. This is the next Cy Young Award winner, like crazy. And John Gray had a solid year, nothing to write home about. And Eovaldi, I'm not sold on Eovaldi whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, I want you to read this comment that was just dropped in the chat by Perry. I love it. While we do that, we're not going to talk about the A's for good reason. This team is a joke. They are trying not to do anything. So in the meantime, this will be some great Frisbee disc golf tournament. What do you have to say about this? He wants some more disc golf, the tour.
I know absolutely nothing about disc golf.
So we need to do our research is what it sounds like.
Is there research to be done?
There's a tour, man. It's a professional thing. It's a legitimate thing. There's fantasy leagues. I've heard. It's a whole thing.
Fantasy leagues?
Dude, yes. We should really get in on this. We could be the premier disc golf podcast.
I mean, I don't even know if I can throw a regular Frisbee straight.
Okay, so maybe we would not be the best at it. But just know, hey, Perry, we appreciate you jumping in the chat, man. Who knows? Stay tuned. Maybe we'll bring some more content that way. But I do have a challenge for you, Tubby. Name one player besides Ramon Laureano on the A's team?
Shane Langelier.
Dang, you got that one. Okay, good job.
Then good. Blackburn was a solid pitcher last year.
Yeah, Tony Kemp.
Yeah. Then the rest of them were on someone's AAA team last year.
Exactly. A mediocre AAA team. Don't forget about Alamis Diaz, the former Cardinal.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought maybe he was still with the Astros. He was the backup shortstop.
Here he is. He found himself a backup gig. So, all right. So we're going to move over to the Central. Perry's favorite team, the Royals, are in this division, of course. Won by the Guardians last year. Surprised, I think, a lot of people. We have the Guardians. We have the Royals. You, of course, are still going to have the Twins, who are the Twins and don't necessarily ever go away, but they're there. And the most I'm going to say the losingest losers in the history of baseball, who have only made the playoffs 11 times out of 119 seasons, the Chicago White Sox, under new management, though.
Yeah. I mean, you look at that roster, that lineup for that team, and you go, this team should be a perennial, at least wild card team every single year. I don't know if it was the Tony La Russa. I mean, it had to have been part of it because once La Russa stepped away, they played a lot better down the stretch. But they kind of missed a window because Lance Lynn's old. He's not pitching like he has. Dylan Cease, I don't know how he's flown under the radar. I think Cease is an incredible pitcher. And the projections for him this year, I think, are insane. That they're expecting was it Fangraph had him at like a 3.68 ERA or something like that.
They show 3.59, but it could have been one of them. They're all very
I don't think it's that. I think it's a way closer to the 3 like it was last year. I think Cease is a guy to watch for the Cy Young. But man,
batters.
Yeah, if Lou Bob and Eloy Jimenez, Moncada, he dropped 20 pounds. He fixed his diet regimen, and maybe we see the Yeah. Hey, you never know. Maybe we see the kid from 2019, even though it was juice ball season.
Yeah,
Who
that's
knows?
I
But
know.
at least he's trying to get himself back in shape and try to find some way to fix his game. And I think Gavin Sheets is another kid to watch in this lineup that with the shift, he is a very very strong pull hitter, left-handed kid. His average may go up more, but man, if Luis Roberts can stay healthy, he will have a chance at the MVP. The problem is the guy can't stay on the field. The size, the power, the speed, it's all there.
Yeah. How many of y'all got the over under of how many ifs Tubby just put on there? 3.5.
Oh yeah.
How many ifs did he put on there? That was a lot. But that's the thing about this team. And all of that to be said, last year they went 81 and 81.
Mm-hmm.
They do have decent depth at starting pitcher. Clevenger, Giolito, Lance Lynn. He's a great innings eater. So maybe he's not your number 2 anymore, but he's a great innings eater. And Michael Kopech, they still believe in him. Believe it or not, he's already almost 27. He's going to be 27 this year, which I think is crazy. But he was from the famous Chris Sale deal. Whew, did not.
Great stuff.
I don't know who won that trade at this point.
I think it was pretty much a push.
Yeah, baseball didn't win. That's what it was. Baseball
definitely not.
So yeah, this team, pitching wise, the middle of the pack last year, and average or hitting wise, they were pretty. Yeah, they hit the ball well. They did not do a whole lot of anything like scoring runs, stealing bases. They were towards the bottom. So a lot of room for improvement, but hopefully a healthy season could do a lot of that. You look at, so if it's not them, obviously the Guardians, that last year they won the division, the surprise team, the small market, won 92 games last year. Didn't make a whole lot of changes this last year. But if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, you still got to fix something. You didn't win. Yeah, you did get Josh Bell. I guess that is, I don't know if you really fixed much, but you got someone.
They got Josh Bell and Mike Zunino, two guys who, if you combined their batting average, I bet by the end of the year, is it above or below 450 combined?
Oh, it's below.
I agree, 100% agree.
But,
and they're predicting Josh Bell about 250 and Zunino at 197. So I said that line real nice.
Yeah, I don't even know if Josh Bell gets 250.
Dude, no, and we know who he is. 30 years old. He's a super streaky hitter. He should. Yeah, Colin says under as well. I think that's Zunino is 100% swing and miss, or he hits the ball over the fence. It's the only two things he can do. Stephen Kwan is a great baseball player, not a good fantasy baseball player. He hits the ball, he gets on base, doesn't steal a lot, but Ahmed Rosario is decent. Jose Ramirez is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's just an uninspiring lineup and an uninspiring division.
Yeah, you look at it and you go, where does the offense come from besides Jose Ramirez?
Yeah.
And there's two people that I think have to make that jump. And it's Josh Naylor and Oscar Hernandez. If those two can show somewhat of the power that they've had in the minor leagues and bring at least some bop to the lineup besides Jose Ramirez, they have a chance to put up more runs because the pitching's going to be there. You got Bieber. I think Tristan McKenzie is a very slept-on pitcher and could possibly, if he puts it all together, be a dark horse for the Cy Young. Maybe not win it, but at least have his name somewhere in the conversation.
I agree.
Emmanuel Clase is, to me, is the best closer in baseball. I mean, the dude's stuff, the lights out, lockdown closer that you need in baseball. So the pitching's there. If you can find some offense, we would probably talking about them being in the I don't know what I'm trying to say. The ALC, you could possibly see them winning, making it to the ALCS and pushing the Astros because the pitching staff that they have is there.
Yeah, Savale as well as good. But I think you're Tristan McKenzie, if like Shane Bieber beats all projection advanced stat models. He's that type of pitcher. He's like, I don't really care what the advanced stats say. I'm just gonna put the ball where I want it. I'm not going to say he is, but he reminds me of the style of pitcher that Greg Maddux would be, where he's like, I'm just going to put the ball where I want it. I don't care what the advanced stats say. Yeah. Tristan McKenzie, like you said, he's only 25 right now. He has that potential, and he was last year your dark horse to have a great second half of the year, and guess what the dude did? Had a great second half of the year. So I love that, and I think You talked about Class A being a great closer. I don't sleep on James Karinchak. I do think the dude strikes out so many hitters for a setup guy. I do like it. So, again, bullpen, we already talked about this once with the Astros. That's the one thing you're like, I really don't know how much I want this. The one thing about them that's different than the Astros is all their guys are young. All their guys, like almost all the Astros were over 30. Almost all of theirs are 27 or younger. They all are 27 or younger. So, right? Yeah. Like that's not 29. So, I don't know, they have that going for them. So if they can get it all together, they got to have the right coaching. And it seems like that is what they have done so far, though.
Yep. Offense is where they got to find it. If they can get some offense besides Jose Ramirez, they will be a tough team to beat in the playoffs because of the pitching.
Yeah. Any other things that you want to talk about with Cleveland? I feel like we went through them pretty quick for a division winner, but I don't really know what else there is to really just break down on their team.
Yeah, they didn't make any big moves.
Yeah,
they stayed where they were, and may not be a bad thing, but it's probably not a great thing. But like I said, the pitching's going to be there. They find some offense, they'll be dangerous. So I don't know if there's really much more to say besides that about the Guardians.
Yeah, the last thing is really, I guess, the bottom dweller team. We missed the Twins, so we'll come back to them here in a second. But the Tigers, the Royals, who finishes last in this division right now? Last year, the Royals lost 97 games. Tigers only lost 96, only one better. Miguel Cabrera is back for one more year. Javi Baez still in the lineup. They're bringing over. They have a lot of young guys in this lineup this year. Kerry Carpenter, Riley Green, still there. Nick Maton, is that how you say it? Right, Maton. Spencer Torkelson also there, incredibly young. Yeah, Maton is from a trade with Philadelphia earlier this year, so that's relatively recent. A lot of young guys on this team.
Yeah,
so that's the offensive side. So it's very hit or miss. I hate the rotation.
Yeah,
Eduardo Rodriguez is your ace.
Well, their true ace is out for the season.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, Skubal and Mize both have that potential to be the front end. Both of them are out for the season. Tommy John surgery late last year. I think the easy answer is the Tigers.
Yeah, which is sad with Miguel Cabrera's last season, probably.
Yeah, I'm not sleeping on the Royals. I think we were a year away.
Ooh, come on,
and it all comes down to it. There was like 3 or 4 teams, these young teams that I looked at and I go, okay, they could possibly push for a wild card if the pitching could be there. That's going to be the biggest problem for the Royals is the starting rotation. It's not great. You got Brady Singer for me, and I think Brady Singer is another guy that is going to be a sneaky pitcher this year who has improved every year, and he has that stuff to be, a front of the line guy. Maybe not an ace, but at least a really solid number 2. If they could ever find someone to be that ace, I don't know if the pitching can be there, but man, MJ Melendez, Bobby Witt, I think Bobby Witt's going to be a 30-30 guy this year. I really do.
I think he has a potential.
Yeah. I think one guy that everyone is missing on, everyone's, talking about the Bobby Witt and the MJ Melendez is Vinny Pasquantino.
I knew that was the guy you were going to say.
He came up in the second half of that season and just lit it up. And he was very slept on. No one really talked about him, when he came up. And it's probably due to the fact that the Royals were not great. But I think that's a guy that we could really see help, that offense even more. You still got, Sandoval or Salvador Perez still there. You still got some really good pieces offensively. You just got to figure out the pitching. And if you can, this young team has the potential to maybe push for a wild card spot. I don't know if they will, but it's a team to watch. I think. I don't know if they will be as bad as they were last year.
Yeah, a team to pay for the ticket for the 2.5-hour baseball game. That's what they are, for sure.
Absolutely.
I am very, the bottom of that lineup, I still am very uninspired by Kyle Isabel, Hunter Dozier, Michael Massey, and Nick Eaton. Not inspired by that at all. And then the bench, Nicky Lopez is a good platoon guy. He's not going to do a whole lot. Framil Reyes, excuse me.
Yeah.
He's not official on the roster right now, but he is a potential guy that they expect. And he has so much power, you might want to consider it. Zach Greinke, Lyles, Singer. Again, I have a hard time believing that this team is not going to, looking at it on paper, that this team does not. I mean, maybe they get 85 losses, 86 again. I just don't see them being a playoffs yet. I just don't, and I want to. I just don't.
I think there's a couple of younger guys down in the minor leagues that could really, pitching wise, that could really help them going forward. Yeah. And it may not be early on in the season, but like Daniel Lynch, he's a big, strong, throws with velocity. If he can get his command under control, I think could absolutely help that rotation, because Jordan Lyles is not a guy that I want throwing, every 5 days.
Yeah.
And Alec Marsh is the other kid. I think Marsh is another guy that could potentially, I mean, he's on the cusp of being in the majors. If I'm the Royals, I know that there's the whole keep him down a little bit longer to keep him under control, whatever. I'm bringing him up as soon as I can, and I'm throwing him. I'm just going to throw him in there. Give him that opportunity. Give him something, a chance. Because what is it going to hurt? You lose 95 games again? Well, you lost 95 last year. You've got young talent. If they can come up and just be halfway good, and even if it's a 3.75 ERA, closer to 4, it's still a solid, output that I don't know if you're going to get from a Jordan Lyles or some of these other guys in this rotation.
We just know who he is. Like, that's my thing. Yeah. You know who he is. The fifth guy, maybe the sixth guy, the depth guy. Oh, it's doubleheader guy. That is a good spot for Jordan Lyles. So I know my hope is that they're competitive, because I love a lot of the young talent on the offensive side. I'm just worried that they don't have the starting pitching in the bottom of the lineup to really make the roster turn over, or the lineup turn over in a game.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Prado is another kid that could possibly come up and help, but it's like, where are you going to play him at that point? Because you have it, Pasquantino, you have, it depends on if you're having Perez catch or if you're having Melendez catch that day, who's playing DH, and so it maybe muddy up a little bit for him, but maybe you can start working him out in left field. Yeah. Throw him out there where it's not, as dire to have a defensive glove out there compared to right and center field. Throw him out there and let him, try to play left field. At least you're getting that bat at the bottom of the lineup compared to a couple of these other guys that I just know are not going to hit.
The way the outfield plays at Kauffman Stadium for the Royals is huge. It plays so big. And so, like, that maybe their fear of that is just, it's a lot of space. Even in left field, it's just so much space. So looking over at the Twins, we didn't want to overlook the Twins. They finished second in the division last year, right? Yeah. Third. Oof, gosh, 78. Third. I don't know how they only got 78 wins, but Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, do they combine for 175 games?
Probably. I will say yes.
Okay. How about 200? We're pushing it now.
That one's pushing it.
Okay.
I don't want to always be the negative guy, so I'll say yes.
Okay. My number's 215. How about 215?
No. Okay.
All right. They're projected to get combined about 600 at bats apiece, which would be 160 games apiece, which I just find absolutely insane.
Yeah.
After all those rules,
come on. Yeah, I mean, what in Buxton's career has he proven that he's going to play that many games?
Yeah. This is a lineup. They did have some changes. Signed Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo might have a better year this year with the loss of the shift. Nick Gordon starting at the bottom of the lineup a little bit. Alex Kirilloff in the bottom of the lineup. But sorry, I was trying to say new guys, not just the lefties in the lineup. Christian Vasquez also came over for the catcher spot. So that could probably help this bullpen with Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Tyler Mahle, and then Kita Maeda.
Yeah. I don't think the rotation in the bullpen is bad. I think it's
unexciting.
Yeah, it's not exciting. I think Pablo was a good trade, but it was at the expense of your most solid hitter in Luis Urias. So I get where you're going, but yet again, I'm like, offense to me, I'm looking at and going, where's the offense come from? Because we're not expecting Buxton to play a lot. You're not expecting Correa to play a lot. Can Kepler have a bounce back year after the absolutely abysmal season he had last season? After getting the paycheck, can Kirilloff be anything? So you've got a lot of questions in the on the offensive side again, where you're like, I don't know where the offense is coming from on a consistent basis. So Royce Lewis is another name that you could potentially, but he's got the Buxton bug. He can't stay on the field.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad one.
And so I just don't know where the offense comes from. I think they have a solid enough pitching staff. Like I said, I think Gray, Lopez, Miley, Manley, they're okay. They're good, but they're not like jump off the page, go, wow, this, rotation's going to do something for you. Joe Ryan, I think will have a better year. I think he had a great first half, second half, not so great after he got sick and injured. So I don't know where the offense is coming from on this team.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is like I think Colin mentioned earlier in the chat, like this is just a very open division.
Yeah.
It's also an open division for the bottom. I mean, the Tigers look
absolutely.
like they have a hold on it, just like you would expect the Guardians to have a hold on the top. But at the same time, you're like, man, if someone else ends up there, I'm not going to be shocked just the way that it goes. And especially with health. Health is always the one thing that you really can't predict, except when it comes to Byron Buxton. But other than that, like it's kind of just wide open. So I think from how many of the two divisions, and here's I think what the bad news is, we're going to actually run out of time to get to the AL East this week, so we'll have to lead off with them next week if you're okay with that, just because we're going to run out of time. But of these two divisions we've covered so far, who is the front runner to represent? Like, are there any dark teams that you like? I could see them making a really deep run in the playoffs.
I would think to me, it's probably the Mariners. If we're talking, I don't know if it's really a dark horse.
Yeah, okay.
Because
they would have to almost go through the Astros.
Yeah, and which would be a big deal because, I mean, you can't call the Astros dark horse because I think they absolutely are the favorite to win it again this year. But out of these two divisions, I think the Mariners are the one team I could see really pushing. Like I said, the Guardians, if they can find offense, that would be the team. But I think that the Mariners maybe have a more top to bottom, more rounded team, hitting and pitching wise. So that would probably be my go.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would. That's the only team I could see. But I really, of the teams that are here right now that we've talked about so far, I'm the same way. I really think it's pretty much just the Astros. Like I would hope that the Angels can improve this year. I don't count on it. I'd hope that the Mariners could really make a push. I don't know that they're good enough yet, and that's what sucks. I'm so tired of seeing the Astros. I finished that podcast episode, the best podcast in baseball. It's the St. Louis Cardinals podcast, but they talked about the Astros sign stealing thing and just. They talked about the Cardinals part of it a couple years before that, where they got suspended for the espionage side of it, of being in their information on the computer, and it was fascinating. And I was like, man, it just really made me not like the Astros even more.
Yeah, really made you hate them even more. You're like, it just brought back all the memories of the scandal.
Yeah, I didn't think it was even possible.
No,
so
still to this day cannot stand them. And I hope they're worse than the A's this year, which won't happen, but I can always hope.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And Colin also agreed with the Mariners. So I just want to say thanks again, everybody, so much for just jumping in the chat. It was great to have everybody on the podcast this week. And, next week, same time, same place. I'm just going to go ahead and predict it right now. Same time, same place. And if you're listening to this afterwards, thank you for listening. You just got to listen. That's our phrase right now this year. And teams are listening. So we had a little bit of stuff on the front end about that. And before we even hit go, the bonus content on YouTube. So if you didn't know, head over to YouTube. And why should they head over to YouTube and subscribe?
Well, I mean, there is a giveaway. If you go hit that, there's this little red button. It says subscribe. You hit it, you get entered for a chance for a free NFL signed jersey. So, I mean, why wouldn't you? It's free. That's all you got to do.
And it's free, and we are getting so close. We're like 30 subscribers or something like that away. So just come and be a part of the W podcast squad. Is that what you said? You said it's so good in that video on the gram.
It's the Dub Squad.
The Dub Squad. The way you said it, I was like,
Dub Squad.
Oh, that was a great soundbite right there. Loved it. So, yeah, we again thank you all so much for listening, for for just joining with us. We cannot wait to continue this talk next week. But don't worry, if you're still here for some combine information or some draft prep, that is coming. It's not. Trust me, Tubby is. He's got 6 and 7 pages front and back of baseball. You don't even want to know what he has for football going. Okay.
Yeah, I've been writing stuff down. So we're ready. Combine is this week. I am excited.
All right. Well, stick around. You may head over to the YouTube next week for the bonus content for that kind of stuff. So, hey, till then, we'll see y'all next week.
See ya.